Good morning, everybody. Hello to everybody watching live, and hello if you're watching back later. Before I introduce today's session, I just want to take a moment to talk to you about kindness and how we can all play a part. So kindness is free, it doesn't cost anything, and you can give it out everywhere. So this year we've seen communities pulling together and showing how incredible as human beings we can be. Thank you so much to everyone who donates to the food banks, toys that are being passed on to the Salvation Army and to children who need them the most. And thank you for those who have given up their time to do shopping, prescription pickups. You have all been amazing, and it's really great to see. And we want to keep on seeing your kindness, and you can do that using a hashtag called Love Somerset Random Act of Kindness, and that's a hashtag. And ways you can just do a random act of kindness: you can check on your neighbours, see how they are, see if they need any shopping, their bins putting out. You can just take them around a Christmas card or a little bit of cake. Think about the people that are isolated in your street this year and what you could do to make their Christmas a little bit better. And not only at Christmas, all the time. Pick up the phone and call somebody you've not spoken to for a while. Just say hello, put a smile on their face for the day. Say hello to strangers, smile, help people across the street, just general love and support. So that's it from me for the moment, and I will now start today's session. So today, with all the business closures, redundancies and furlough, there are still lots of job opportunities in our area. And today we've got some people to talk about some opportunities that are available. So I'm going to introduce Jane from Skill Up Somerset. Hello, Jane.
Hello.
And I've got Sally from Step Up Somerset. And I've got with me Ella from Community Council.
Hi.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So, Jane, over to you first. At the moment, obviously, with people losing jobs and redundancies, it's the sort of perfect time, really, if people considering a new career path or wanting to step into something they've not done before. How do you help with this?
Okay, well, Skill Up Somerset is a service that's available for individuals and businesses across the county. My role within that is to offer sort of careers advice, information around apprenticeships and about skills. So if you're thinking of changing your career and you're considering the idea of training and thought about apprenticeships, you're able to use the service to just find out more, really, and to how to go about looking for those apprenticeship vacancies. What type of apprenticeships can you do? And this is sort of free, impartial advice. The easiest way to contact us is actually through our website, where we have a contact page. You can submit a query, and then one of the advisors will get back to you. We do have Facebook and Twitter accounts too, so you can just follow us on there if you're just not quite sure about contacting us straight away. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Sally from Step Up, so you support people going into careers, new careers, and job advertisements.
I work for Somerset County Council, and I am actually working with all the district councils. And what we've done is we have put together a website which is called Step Up Somerset. So you can find it online, and on that is links to every type of career support you could need. It is literally just a signposting website. So it can help you how to write your CV. It links to Skill Up. It links to DAS. It's signposting to everything. And I'm also the Kickstart lead. So I have just had in from businesses, trying to add it up, I think it's about 150 opportunities for people to do the Kickstart work placements, which we're just about to send into government. And those are for anyone who is 16 to 24 who is unemployed. They are fully paid. They last for 6 months. I have jobs in schools. I have jobs in nurseries. I have jobs in Somerset County Council. There are jobs that are coming through in surgeries. And we're expecting a lot more, and they range from everything. So it could be someone helping with the gardening, it could be in reception, it could be a project lead. There are so many diverse available opportunities. So I'm expecting those to come online probably mid-end of January. So you need to keep an eye in your job centres. You will be told about that by the job centres if you're in the 16 to 24 categories. It gives you great opportunity to get some job experience, and on top of that, they are there to train and support you as well. So they will be making sure you have full training so that you know how to do that job inside out and back to front, and you've got something on your CV if at the end of the 6 months they don't take you on. They will help you with writing the CVs and interview skills and stuff so that you know how to apply for your next job. So it's a really great opportunity for people out there.
That sounds amazing. It sounds like the right place to go to if you're looking at starting your career in a certain sector. It sounds the perfect place to start.
Yeah, it is. It's a great opportunity for, we understand that there are a large amount of 16 to 24-year-olds. It does say 16, but you do need to be on universal credit. So they are very unusual if you're 16 on universal credit. Mainly will be the 18 to 24-year-olds. But yes, we understand right now, really difficult perhaps to find that first job. So this is a perfect way. You're being paid. So it's a perfect way to, step into the career that you want, and it gets you work experience so you can try something out, find out, is it the one thing that you would like to do? And this one runs all the way through, this opportunity runs all the way through to December as well, so there'll be lots of different opportunities coming online throughout the year.
That's amazing, thank you. And as a general careers advertisement at the moment, what careers sectors are currently advertising? What jobs are out there, and how can people get support looking for jobs at the moment?
Yeah, we've got a lot of jobs in the social care sector. Unfortunately, they couldn't find anyone to come on this morning. But believe me, there are so many in that social care sector. So please do have a look at the social care sector. We've also got some digital boot camps that are coming up starting in January. Those are 30-hour-a-week training. And those actually lead into the different sectors. So you've got the marine sector, the marine biology sector, weirdly enough, alternative energy. So it's, to be honest, it's difficult to say a specific sector is hiring. It's jobs all the way across different sectors. But, for this particular sector, we're sort of talking about the apprentices and all of the extra help that's coming online, which even if you're not in that sphere at the moment, should help you move across into a job that will be hiring. And we know that normally in January and February, that is key hiring time of the year.
Brilliant.
Can I just add something there, Ruby? Just around the apprenticeships, and you're asking what range of apprenticeships are available. The apprenticeship website, Find an Apprenticeship, is worth keeping an eye on as well, because those are real vacancies and they are quite diverse, as you said. You could be looking at jobs in school. There's sometimes some in construction, the popular trades vacancies. There could be, I think I've seen one for web developer. And we do pick a random sample of these to put through Facebook and on Twitter regularly. So as I say, if you follow those, you'll kind of get a flavour of what's out there. So that's another one to keep an eye on as well.
And I'm only...
sorry.
I just suddenly realised, of course, I'm only doing the recruiting for the public sector. And I know that Somerset Chamber of Commerce has been doing for the private sector. And honestly, every business you can possibly think of has asked for a kickstart work placement. they're in tourism, they're in construction, you know, they are in everything across the board. I've seen a few because they came to us and we passed them across. So I do know that there are so many placements across the board. So, you know, definitely worth a look.
Brilliant, thank you. Jane, if somebody comes to you and they want an apprenticeship in a certain sector, but there's no vacancies, are you able to encourage companies to take on apprenticeships, reach out to them?
Well, how I would deal with that situation is if that person is interested in a particular occupational area and there's currently no vacancies, it's generally what happens is that they're encouraged to approach employers who offer that kind of job role, or alternatively going to what we call the training providers. So it could be a college or a training private training provider, to see if they have potentially any up and coming vacancies that might be suitable. So we're kind of not a matching service in such that we would go and contact employers on their behalf, but we would work with them to encourage them to be able to do that, and so that they have the skills to be able to do that long term. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. Lovely. So over to you then, Ella. So you do the resourcing. You're part of the resourcing team for Somerset County Council. And what is your role in the employment sector, and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm in the advertising part of the resourcing team. So we list the jobs that schools in Somerset have on the county council's external job website, which Sally mentioned there, which is dasjobs.co.uk. Yeah, that's the one. And so most schools in Somerset send any vacancies they have into us, and we list them on there. So there's always support roles and teaching roles, you know, kind of like cleaners and learning support and office staff. So that's basically what we do.
Are you able to set up an online account, so if jobs that come under what you're looking for come up available, will they email you straight away and say this might be suitable for you? Is that something that you can do when looking for them, or do you have to look at each job as an individual basis?
We've got email subscription on the website, so you can sign in and you can select which categories you want. So every Friday, I think, any new jobs that week get emailed out to you if you signed up for that.
Amazing. So do the jobs get advertised as and when, or do you tend to put them on at a certain time so people keep an eye out?
Yeah, it's as and when. So obviously we work Monday to Friday. So during the week, schools send us adverts and we process them as they come in. So there's no sort of particular rhythm to it.
Lovely. And do you have any advice for people filling in applications online? Sometimes it can be a bit of a minefield, and
yeah, I've applied for a lot of jobs in my time, and it's challenging. But I think mostly the adverts that we have only accept application forms. So I would just say to make sure you read the advert and all of the job specs carefully. And if they say they don't accept CVs, don't send a CV in.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That's really good advice. Lovely. And Jane, your department then, so when you can help with CVs and things like that, when it comes to an online application, are you able to offer guidance? Because a lot of jobs now are sort of advertised with their own departments that you go straight to. Is that something you can offer help and support with?
Within my role in Skill Up Somerset, I can support the Find an Apprenticeship website. To actually enable you to apply for any of those jobs on there, you have to make an account and then you start to complete the application. Some of the general information that you put on there, sort of contact details, your qualifications, that is actually saved. So if you're unsuccessful with that original application for an apprenticeship, you don't have to go through all that again for the next one. So the actual application form there is standard for all of them. There's very often contact details on there as well about a contact within that apprenticeship, normally training provider, that you can also speak to if you've got any queries. If you're looking to generally apply for online applications, it's pretty much as Ella said, first and foremost, read the instructions and follow through what they're asking you to do. If you're able to save and go back at another time, that sometimes helps, because you can review your answers and you can check against the job description to make sure that you're selling yourself in the best possible way. Similarly, if they don't want a CV, please don't try and send one. Again, it kind of shows you're not following the instructions. And just give yourself time. And when you're sort of feeling calm and you have the, you're able to sort of put that extra bit into actually making those applications. One little trick I do suggest to people, when you have that box which says what personal skills and qualities you may bring to a role, similar things, I sometimes suggest you actually type that out on a Word document separate from your application, and then you can tweak it and you can make it sound really, you know, how you want to be portrayed. Then just copy it and paste, and then you have those statements for future applications which you can then tailor towards that job. So that's just a little trick that I suggest.
That's amazing, because I find from experience that's one of the most tricky boxes, when you have to describe yourself and what your hobbies are and what your skills, and when you're just getting by day, you don't really stop to think about what your skills and that are. So it is handy to have it on a separate document to refer back to. Lovely. Sally, do you have any advice for people who are looking for a career that they're not versed in at all, and they're looking just to step out and try something completely new?
Yeah,
As I say, there's a lot of job in the health and social care sector. From experience, I was an accounts assistant for 6 years, and then I randomly wanted to go into learning disabilities. I don't know why, I just chose to, and it was a huge step for me, and it was a bit of a minefield. So what would your advice be for people looking to jump into something new?
Yeah, I think people should never be afraid. I have been a product of 3 recessions. So I have been made redundant 3 times. So I'm used to changing myself and my career. I also came out of university right into a recession. So, you know, first of all, before I answer your question, I'd just like to say, don't be afraid to be different. So one of the things I did was I wanted to get into the marketing profession. So there were no jobs. We were in the middle of recession. All the jobs that had been laid off were marketing. So I put together myself as an advert. So I literally, as you would find an advert in a newspaper, that's how I put myself together. And I sent that. I found some names and addresses online of a whole load of advertising agencies and marketing agencies, and I sent it around. And I got 7 interviews and I got a job. And there were no jobs available, but none of these places were also advertising for people. So sometimes you've got to be bold and be different. In terms of switching career, so therefore I was in marketing, but I didn't like it. Having worked so hard to get into it, I didn't like it. And so age 30, I got very depressed and started thinking, what did I want to do? And I realized the thing that I had really enjoyed my entire life was running events. And I thought, just like you did, Ruby, I thought to myself, you know, how do I get across into that new career? And I realized that there are so many transferable skills that you have. And I think that's the key that I'd like to say to everybody. Have a look at what skills, write down the list of the skills you have in the job you have, and then have a look at those and say, actually, are they transferable over into the industry I'd like to go across into? I always say I'm a project manager now. So now I've changed again. I'm now a project manager. I would say that a marketing manager and an event manager and a project manager are all exactly the same skill set. We all do the same thing. We all manage projects. And that would be the same as if I was in the construction industry or if I was in web design. A project manager is a project manager. So you can transfer that across to many different industries. And I think that's the same. You're an administrator. You can swap that across to many different industries. Even if you were a hairdresser, have a look. you work with people all the time. That means you can do customer service, that means that you can be a receptionist. There's so many different fields that you can move into. So just have a look at what skills you've got.
That's really great advice, and it's really good to hear from your experience as well, everything that you've been through. And jobs are never a one-stop shop. People are always changing what they want and where they want to go with things. And the thing I also found helpful when I was looking around was access to free courses online. And is that something that you can pinpost to, as not necessarily as part of an apprenticeship, just as somebody wanted to gain a few more skills? Are you able to pinpost people in that direction?
So I know Jane's probably better to answering it than I am, to be honest, on this one. But I would say, please do keep an eye on the Step Up Somerset website, because I do know there is a lot of things coming ahead. Jane will also be advertising most of them on her website as well. But the government is gradually realising they need to sort of put some funding into this, and they are giving us money to put together. And we across the county are also putting together different projects that people can go online and have a look at. So yes, there's lots of different support out there. So go on to Step Up Somerset website. It's more than likely it will signpost you to Jane at Skill Up. But you might find that there are a few other courses as well that you find useful. Sorry, Jane.
No, it's okay. Well, I just sort of to add to that, when we went into the first lockdown, there was a massive shift away from face-to-face learning, as there had to be. So distance learning, I think, has developed really well over these past few months. So you will find a range of courses available. Some may be accredited, so they'll have a qualification. Other might be more leisure orientated, and a lot of them are free. And if you were thinking, oh, I've never done distance learning before, I don't know how that would work, I don't know if I'd be able to get on with it, it might be actually worth looking at a short leisure course, just that it's free, just to have an idea of what it actually means and how you feel about that. And potentially some of the more traditional courses like functional skills and English and maths, they pretty much maintain the no cost, from the various training providers that offer them. Others perhaps might be a bit more in depth, those courses. There's quite a few training providers around Somerset that offer these. The list is not exhaustive, so please excuse me, anybody who's listening from any of the providers, if I don't give you a huge list now. I'm thinking around Somerset Skills and Learning, who are doing quite a few leisure courses at the moment, very short ones. You have the colleges as well that offer perhaps other ones which have always been traditionally distance learned, where you can gain a qualification. And depending on your eligibility, some of these are free. So it's worth having a look. But if you were thinking about this route and just want a little bit more guidance, by all means, get in touch with Skill Up Somerset and I'd be happy to help.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Ella, are there any roles coming up at the moment that are exciting and worth keeping an eye out for?
I'm not sure about exciting. I think it's, it's kind of always the same stuff really that we have. We advertise for charities and other public sector areas as well, but it is mostly schools, and they do tend to be same sorts of things. But as someone said earlier, I think January is one of the busiest periods, so it's definitely worth just keeping on looking out. That's
great. Lovely. Thank you very much. That's great. I don't have any questions to ask you at all. Nobody's posted any in, which is good, but hopefully people will be listening back later and can contact you through the relevant methods if they want to get involved, which there's a lot of exciting opportunities out there. And especially, like you said, there's so many different roles that people go into. So this is really positive and great. So lovely. Is there anything else you'd like to add today?
Can I just add one further thing? Because I know that there are a lot of small businesses out there currently who are, wondering, is their business going to survive? And what would be their next steps? So, you know, they should also be thinking about talking to someone like Jane, and seeing, you know, what new skill can I learn that maybe my business could transfer into, you know, another avenue, another area, if you're like me. So obviously the reason I've now changed jobs, by the way, is because I was the council event manager and there are no events on at the moment. So I've been moved into a project management role. And so if you're in a business like, say, event management, and you don't think that there is going to be enough event management work for you as a sole trader or a small business, and you don't know, you know, what to do, well, you know, as someone who's been in that business, that's marketing. That's a lot of marketing. So, you know, you could maybe talk to, you know, Skill Up Somerset, get a bit more marketing training. There's lots of social media, free social media training as well. And you could, you know, transfer your business into sort of that sort of line. Even if it's just for a year or two, you might find you love it and you want to carry on, but you know, it might be a stopgap if you know, you love being self-employed. And equally, you know, if you decide that your business isn't going to survive and you don't want to carry on, again, you know, going to Skill Up is a great place to get some training in place so that you could move into another career.
That's amazing, thank you. I think as well, a lot of businesses it's sort of having to adapt to times at the moment, isn't it? It's having to adapt to the methods that people are using, and a lot is digital because there's not a lot of face-to-face. And you've noticed, I've certainly noticed around that a lot of places that would have an office that you could visit now don't have that at all, and everything's complete remote. So it's really getting those skills to learn how to adapt to that new lifestyle.
Just on Sally's comment about the businesses as well, a couple of weeks ago you had Nikki Blackwell along with Marie Howard. That's what their role is there for, is to support those businesses with potential training. And if it's not obviously available, they do have a network of providers that they can potentially contact to see if they're able to put something in place. So not perhaps just for the business owner, but for their employees as well. So just add that one there. Contact exactly the same way.
Brilliant, lovely. So for everybody watching back, in the comments there's everybody's contact details and website. So please go and have a look and reach out if you want any help and support, because there's lots of help and support out there. So, lovely. Thank you very much for joining me today. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I hope you have a lovely Christmas. And I'm sure that lots of people are going to watch this and be very interested. And you'll be getting lots of contacts soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I have another guest. I've got Michelle. She's going to talk to us today about fostering in Somerset. This is something that maybe you've never considered, or something you've always been interested in and you've never had enough information. So hello, Michelle.
Hi, Ruby.
Hello, how are you?
Good, yeah. So I just wanted to really throw a little bit of a curveball into the mix, since you've been talking about opportunities and careers and things like that. Just to mention fostering, and as you say, could be something that people have considered or haven't considered. But fostering is basically when you care for a child in your own home who isn't able to be cared for by their birth family at that time. And that could be for a number of reasons. And it could be that that child needs care for a number of days or weeks, or it could be months, years, or even many years, depending on their circumstances. So there are lots and lots of types of different types of fostering to match the needs and the circumstances of the many children that are obviously in need of care. That's anything from kind of occasional care, which is where you might be caring for a child on a weekend basis, or kind of, you know, here and there, or holidays and things like that, up to sort of long-term fostering, which is where you can care for a child right up until they leave home, just as you would naturally for your own children when they leave home. So there are lots and lots of different types of fostering to match the needs of the children. And foster carers, actually, they receive a weekly fee and allowance. So although I wouldn't necessarily promote it as a career as such, it is something to sort of consider if you are looking for a change in direction or maybe a new challenge. But you've got to do it for the right reason. So it is a role where, you know, it can be challenging. You do need to be resilient and have all the qualities of like patience and compassion and all those things. But all the foster carers that I speak to do tell me that actually it is a really, really rewarding role, and one where you can genuinely make a difference to the lives of the young people in our communities. So fostering fees and allowances, they start from £146.30 per week. And what that is that's an allowance for a 0 to 4-year-old, and allowances are paid per child. So depending on how many children you're caring for and the ages of them, that allowance can go up, or you can have in multiple allowances for multiple children. And then there's also a payment for the foster carer as well, which starts at £77 per week. And again, there are additional payments for the more children you have as well. So there is an income attached to it, and you also receive a dedicated supervising social worker as well, who will support you and work with you through your fostering journey.
Amazing, thank you. Lovely. So who can foster? Obviously, it takes a certain type of person. You need to be caring, resilient, like you said. But when it comes to actually a criteria, who can foster?
So the only basic requirements are that you need to be 21 years old. There's no upper age limit, and we have foster carers from 21 up to 81. And you also need to have a spare room in your home. So you don't have to necessarily own your own home, but you do need to have a spare room. So they're the basic requirements, but anyone, as long as you're within that, can really be a foster carer. And we really need foster carers as diverse as the children that are in our care. So
that's amazing. And from obviously from short term to long term, like you said, how regular do you get support? Are you involved fully and regularly? So you're checking sort of weekly, or how do you get involved after somebody's been allocated with a family?
So I'm not a social worker, so I work within the fostering team, working on all the comps. My role is to generate. So I don't know exactly how often, but I know that, like I said, you have you as a foster carer have your own social worker, and there are loads and loads of support groups and things as well. It's been a difficult year, obviously, in normal circumstances. there are lots of coffee mornings and things that go on as well. So it's not just necessarily support from the council, it's also support from other foster carers as well. And we have various different teams and within fostering to help with special circumstances and the various needs of those children, and the needs obviously of our foster carers as well. So I can't tell you exactly that sort of how often you're but I do know that it is constant support, and that your supervising social worker is always on the end of the phone, and that it is a real community. Our foster carers, it is a real community, and I know that lots of them keep in contact with each other and meet regularly and chat, or would meet regularly, obviously if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic. But yeah, so there is lots and lots of support available from various different places, and there's also lots of ongoing training opportunities as well. So lots of opportunities.
Lovely. And can't even get my words out now, sorry. What if people want to just give it a go short term? Is that an option, just to see if it's for them, if they just want to sort of ease themselves into it and just see how things go? Is there any sort of offer there, or contracts and things, if they just say, I'm new to this, I sort of want to give it a go, and if they think, oh, I like it, but I don't know if I want to do this full time?
So fostering it's not something that people just jump into. It's normally something that they've thought about for quite a long time. And the process to become a foster carer is quite a long process. So, throughout that, so if say, for example, somebody's watching and they are interested, but they perhaps want to find out a bit more about it, I've mentioned that there are lots of different types of foster care opportunities and different roles within it. So the website is a really good place to find out lots of information initially about the different types of roles there are, and the children, the kind of children that we would be providing care for, and all of that stuff. However, the actual process is quite long. So you would make an initial inquiry, and you would have a conversation with one of our really lovely team members, who would just talk you through, check that you are meeting those basic requirements of being over 21, all those kind of things. Check that it would be the right kind of time in your life, that you're not perhaps if you're just about to move house or something like that, it might not be quite the right time for you to foster. But they'll just have a bit of a chat with you. It's a good opportunity for you to ask any questions that you have. And then if you and they feel that you'd like to still find out a little bit more about that, you would then go on to have what we call an initial home visit, which is where one of the assessing social workers would come to your house, obviously adhering to all social distancing guidelines. And I think some of them are being done virtually at the moment as well. But again, normally they would come to your home, and they would just really give you a kind of sort of beginner's guide to fostering, really just talk through all of these different types of fostering, about your circumstances, what kind of fostering you're interested in, all of that really, what prompted you to make the call in the first place. And then again, from that point on, if you both feel that fostering is something that you would like to pursue, then you would go on to do a training course, which is called Skills to Foster. And then from there is quite a lengthy and in-depth assessment process, which really does it does go into quite a lot of detail about your own your background and your circumstances. I think sometimes people feel that if they have things that happened in their background that perhaps initially think might hinder their application, actually sometimes they turn out to be good life experiences that would make you a really good foster carer, because you yourself have experienced or have experience with others of some of the things that perhaps the children might have gone through. So that doesn't shouldn't put you off, really, if you feel that you have something that obviously we have to be really careful and we have to be very thorough with our assessments, because we need to make sure that these children are going to be well looked after and cared for. But so you do have a lot of opportunity throughout the whole process to you'll be put in touch with other foster carers as well, and you can talk to them about any concerns you have, what it's really like to be a foster carer, the challenges, the rewards, the support, everything. So there's a lot of opportunity throughout the process to kind of change your mind if you feel that it's not right, or actually perhaps you'll find out that actually it's something you really do want to do. But I would also say that I know that sometimes when people are interested but perhaps don't have any experience with children at all, or want to kind of, like you say, test the water a little bit, then there is a Somerset volunteering website, and Route 1 Advocacy, which is sort of a branch that we kind of work with. You can apply to be an independent visitor, and that is where you're not a foster carer, but you would help support a young person potentially who's in care, and almost be like a sort of extended family member that they would see and speak to regularly. And I know that that's something we sometimes recommend people do beforehand if they just want to dip their toes in and see what it's like.
That's an amazing way to sort of ease yourself into the world of fostering as well, from doing that slowly in and just working your way through. So that's amazing. I was looking at the website once we booked this, and I have to say that some of the stories, experience stories in there, are so inspiring. And there's pictures of the children and what they learn and develop with their foster families. And I think it's such a wonderful thing. And I really think if it's something people have considered or they have the capacity to do and they could make a change, then it's definitely something you should look into, because you can make a massive difference, and I think it would be great.
Definitely. Like I said, it can be challenging. It really can be challenging, but as can all children. I'm sure all parents will have come up against challenges with their own children. But it is coming up to that sort of time of year where people start to think about, they reflect on the last year, they start to think about things they might want to achieve or things they might want to do differently next year, or that kind of thing. I think there's been a real sense of community over the last 12 months, more so than I've seen before, just because of like you were saying earlier, lots of people helping pick up prescriptions for elderly relatives and checking in on neighbours and all those kinds of things that perhaps some of us weren't as good at doing before this happened. So I think the pandemic has prompted people to perhaps consider and think about and reflect really on their lives and those kind of things. So I'm hoping that maybe in the new year we might get a little surge of people who've actually maybe watched this or seen one of our fostering ads or something and thought, actually, I'd like to find out a little bit more about that. And by finding out more, you're not committing. It could just be a case of phoning up, finding out more, and it might be that perhaps it's not right for you right now, but maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, when people have maybe retired and got empty nests at home, or children have moved on to universities, it might then be something that they want to consider doing. And like you say, they can really make a real difference to people's lives.
Lovely. And I also seen on your website that you do events. Are these virtual at the moment that people can join in with and keep an eye on upcoming ones?
Yes, yeah. So what we would normally do is once a month we would run an event at Costa, which is an evening event. It's 7 till 9, and it's just a fostering information session, and it's a good opportunity for people to come and chat to other foster carers and just find out a little bit more in a very relaxed, chatty, informal setting with coffee and a piece of cake. But obviously that's not happening at the moment. But what we are doing is we're running it as a virtual session, and we just ran one a couple of weeks ago, and it was through Zoom, and we had little breakout rooms and things afterwards. So we sort of had an initial chat, and then there were breakout rooms where members of the public can come and chat to foster carers and ask them all the questions that they're going to answer really honestly about actually what it is like. So yeah, I think there probably will be another one happening in January. We have a Facebook page, which is a really good way to keep up to date with all the events and things like that, especially because there are links on there and you can just follow it straight through. So yeah, do keep an eye and do give us a little follow or a like on there if you can.
Amazing, that's great. We'll do our best to promote you as well. So
thank you.
Great. Lovely. Well, it was really great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on and giving us an insight into the world of fostering, because there's not, even though, there's information out there, but it's not one that's really spoken about. And like you said, it's not really something that you consider as a career, but it is something that you could really do to change your life.
Yeah, and there are opportunities to progress throughout fostering as well. There is sort of fostering plus schemes and things like that. So there is a progression scheme within it as your skills develop and so on. But I don't think people would necessarily consider it if they were looking for a new challenge or a new direction. I don't think fostering would be something people would be considering. So we're just trying to kind of highlight that, and I think this year as well, where people have been spending more time at home, has prompted some people to maybe consider whether or not they might want a slightly slower pace of life, especially if you're in a kind of real busy office job. Although I'm not suggesting that fostering is kind of this laid back easy thing at all. It is a full-time job at the end of the day. You don't get to go home at 5 o'clock on Friday and then clock off. You're a foster carer for the whole weekend. So as well, just as parents are constant full-time parents. So I'm not suggesting it's at all easy, but I do think that spending more time with families, and that we've all kind of been prompted to think about the things that really matter this year.
Lovely. And the question I sort of have is the long-term fostering. What happens once you've been fostering for quite a few years, this person's growing with you, they essentially are your family? Where does that lead legally? Can you then become their legal guardian as a permanent position from that? Or is it all independent basis?
I couldn't answer any of that, I'm afraid. Like I said, I don't know too much about the legal requirements things, but what I do know is that a lot of foster carers who do long-term fostering, there is a sort of scheme that when a child reaches a certain age, we call it staying put, and it's where that child then stays with you. When they technically could leave care, they then stay with the family that they've been staying with, just like, say, as your own children naturally would. You don't kind of send them off on their way when they're on their 16th birthday. And it's kind of the same with the staying put scheme, which we try and encourage foster carers to do, and that child would then stay with you. But I know that there are a lot of foster carers who have had children who've grown up and gone on to lead independent lives, and they still keep in touch with them just like their own family. But it is always the aim of of children's services to reunite children with their birth families. So like I say, that some children come into care for a short time and some children come into care for a long time, but it is always kind of, and it's probably worth mentioning that actually as a foster carer, the majority of the time there will be visits that happen with your foster child and their birth family to because that contact's really important, and they're always trying to reunite them at the end of the day. So there is that to also be aware of as well.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. That's great. Lovely. If you're watching this and you're a foster parent, we'd love to hear your views and your take on everything, and what you would recommend about the role and what's not so great. We want to hear everything. Get people involved. That's great. Lovely. Well, thank you very much, everyone who's joined me today. Thank you, everyone, for watching. It's been a really great session and I've really enjoyed it. So keep the kindness flowing, do odd jobs for people, do what you can. It's come up to Christmas now, so please think about your neighbours and people in your community that could really use a little smile. So thank you very much.